Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another issue of the podcast show, video podcast, Zoom podcast show, Diplomacy Talks. And now we're going to have a special guest, the first one from Africa. This is His Excellency Alcino dos Prazeres, Izata Francisco da Conceição. It's quite a long name. He's the ambassador of Angola, one of the friendliest countries in Africa that Serbia has ever had. Since 1975, of course, since the independence of Angola, which is going to be the first question. The first question is, Yugoslavia and Angola were extremely friendly since the independence of Angola in 1975. And these excellent relations high relations between the two countries.
Yeah, first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. It's with pleasure that, after being in Serbia for around 11 months, I have the opportunity to interact with your important magazine. So, responding to your question, and allow me to tell you that the bilateral relation between Serbia and Angola is historic and solid. And it has been built under the leadership of the former president of Yugoslavia, Joseph Broz Tito, and also the former president of Angola, Antonio Agostinho Neto. As you may be aware, Yugoslavia was one of the first European countries that recognized the independence of Angola. The Republic of Serbia has its legacy and heritage, and in the circumstances has always been supportive through the creation of strong ties between our respective governments. Angola has a reciprocal support and is the only sub-Saharan country represented by an ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary in Belgrade. Our ties are so solid that Angola maintained its staff in Belgrade during the NATO bombing period in 1999 in order to show our commitment and support to the Serbian government. Angola also supports the Republic of Serbia on the sensitive issue of Kosovo, and both governments agreed to mutually support all diplomatic initiatives that consider important and strategic for both countries. Today, these relations remain strong, and the ongoing steps taken on the bilateral cooperation are commendable, namely the visit to Serbia of some important ministers during the last 3 months, and the preparation of some important legal instruments that will certainly enhance the diplomatic and the economic relations between our respective countries. Finally, to respond to that question, I am confident that Serbia and Angola are aware of the need to speed up and further strengthen our relationship and adapting our bilateral policies to the changing circumstances of the world today.
Great, thank you. Angola is one of the oil producers and oil producers in Africa that has a huge importance. Our companies collaborate with Angolan ones. What more our economic cooperation may offer apart from this oil cooperation?
So, like the entire world today, the Angolan economy has been negatively impacted by the pandemic. And the government is taking all the necessary measures to restore macroeconomic stability and laying the foundation for renewed real economic growth. So in terms of figures, macroeconomic figures, Angola is expecting real economic growth to achieve 3.1% this year, and is taking the necessary policies to accommodate its fiscal and monetary policies and the overvalued exchange rate to normal and steady trends. Under its national development program, supported by an extended financial facility from the IMF, Angola is facing a growing macroeconomic stability. International reserves has been restored to achieve around 15 billion of US dollars in the first half of 2021. And the government macroeconomic program sought to stabilize the economy through a combination of fiscal consolidation and orderly exchange rate adjustment backed by a tight monetary policy and other measures to safeguard the financial sector and reliable structural reforms with the aim of restoring market confidence and promoting direct foreign investments. So against this backdrop, there is room for improvements on bilateral economic relations between Angola and Serbia. As of today, 80% of the contractual economic cooperation between Angola and Serbia is on the field of the defense industry and security. In this respect, many Serbian public and private entities are working in Angola, including, the very important NIS Naftagaz through his main partner, Gazprom. So Angola and Serbia are working together to conclude very important bilateral agreements that will regenerate our economic cooperation, especially the important bilateral agreement on the reciprocal suppression of visas for diplomatic and other official passports, which will allow the free circulation of people between our two countries. In addition to that, a second agreement will shortly be coming on stream to avoid the double taxations for the investors. A third agreement is aimed to promote and protect investments for public and private entities that would like to invest in Angola and in Serbia, respectively. So there will be important legal instruments that will lay the foundations to allow investments and on other fields such as agriculture, industry, transport, infrastructures, education, tourism, and so many other sectors that can be, let's say, prepared for a mutual investment.
Now the prices of oil are going up. It's something like $85 maybe yesterday for the barrel. It's very good. Everybody expects like $100 economy positively in the Angolan economy. Do you think so?
Yes, we are optimistic on those, let's say, forecasts. No later than yesterday, the World Bank estimates that the real economic growth to Angola in 2021 will be higher than 3%, based on a long period of recession that we have been through since 2019 it is a very good, let's say, expectations in terms of macroeconomic figures, you know. Since the new government is in tenure in 2018, since the tenure of the new president, João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, you know, a set of macroeconomic policies in order to stabilize the country has been implemented, and the most, let's say, important measures is in terms of the fiscal policy, the implementation of tax added value to the country, and also to provide or to come up with a better quality of the public expenditures of the country in Angola. So our national development program has been established since that year, 2018, and the results, although the pandemic situations are, you know, damaging some of our macroeconomic, let's say, forecast, but some good results are coming on stream just right now. As you mentioned, you know, oil prices are also getting up a little bit, and it will be a very good signal for the public in terms of the public revenues, and it will allow, of course, much more public expenditure on the field of investments and on the social programs.
Angola, the third question, Angola went through the civil war since 1975, and Yugoslavia and Serbia also went through civil war, and both of our countries recovered. What lessons from Angola can be applied to the Balkan region, in your opinion? What can Angola teach us from its experience?
Right, so it's not a matter of teaching, it's a matter of learning. And what we have been learning, you know, in the past is the resilience and the need of a strong political leadership to, you know, pass through all those processes. And I think Serbia and Angola remain committed to the principles and values of sovereignty and the multilateralism. And it is very important to reaffirm our determination of maintaining the purpose of mutual interest, cooperation, and the respect for justice and international obligations, as well as respect for fundamental human rights and the territorial integrity of all nations. So those are the lessons that we learn from the past that we went through in Serbia and in Angola. You know, the civil war was for us very useful in terms of historic, let's say, learning process to going forward, to moving forward.
The next question is going to be a little bit lighter. It's about culture. Many people in Serbia know capoeira, actually, and capoeira Angola is very popular, and lots of people are dancing it. It's one of the most popular directions in capoeira movement, and it's been in the last 15 years or 20 years, it's been booming and blooming all around region and for Serbia too. And the people really love it. Apart from capoeira, what can we do to enhance our cultural cooperation to get to know each other better? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any plans together with other African countries in Belgrade? What is your preparing to teach us a little bit more about Angolan culture?
Absolutely. Yes, cultural cooperation is very important to boost bilateral cooperation. You know, capoeira, as you mentioned, is a traditional, let's say, cultural aspect of the Angolan tradition. And it has been transferred to the Brazilian culture through the movements of slaves. You know, it became a Brazilian, let's say, cultural important tool, but originally it comes from Angola. So in terms of what we can do here to improve the cultural cooperation between our two countries, I think that here in Belgrade, we are well served. We are well served because Belgrade and Serbia in its whole is a very important European cultural hub, you know, with so many locations and events representing worldwide traditions and culture. As an African, I was really delighted to visit the Museum of the African Art in Belgrade and had the opportunity to celebrate in last June the rich cultural and artistic program. You know, as an African ambassador in Serbia, I will do the necessary to, as far as the conditions allow, bring to Belgrade some Angolan traditional and folkloric groups that will perform in the cities of Serbia, enhancing in this way the cultural relations between our both countries.
Thank you. I think that Angola is very attractive for Serbian tourists too. Let's not forget about the wonderful coast that Angola has. The neighboring Namibia and Botswana and other countries are a lot very lucrative. And I believe that we can do a lot, or at least something, to open the market for Serbian tourists. Serbian tourists frequently go to Tanzania, to Zanzibar, for example. And why not? Why not to Angola? Can we do something to open the market for Serbian tourists to get to know Angolan coast and natural beauties, national parks, and everything that you have?
Yeah, this is a very important question, sir. You know that Luanda and Belgrade used to have a weekly liaison operated by Air Yugoslavia. And, you know, it wasn't a long time ago. It was in the years 90s, you know. Once a week, Angolans and Serbians who used to work and study in our respective countries, and other Angolans, students in the Balkans, used to take this flight as an easier connection, So my goal as an Angolan living in Serbia is to continue to work closely with the Serbian government to reestablish this weekly connection between Belgrade and Luanda. It will strongly depend, of course, of the increase of the diplomatic, economic, educational, and financial cooperation that, in my opinion, will increase on stream shortly, very shortly. Angola has a tremendous touristic potential with magnificent beaches, nice hotels, a sunshine climate throughout the year, and also wonderful mountains, rivers, savannas, and the wild animals that need to be discovered and explored. So we count on the interest of the Serbian and the Balkan citizens, as they are more than welcomed in Angola. In this regard, we have reformed the legal procedure framework in order to facilitate the issuance of visas. And my consulate is here in Belgrade, stand ready to inform and administratively support all Serbian citizens interested in travel to Angola for tourism, as soon as the pandemic situation allows us to do so.
Now, a little bit more depressing question is about the pandemic of coronavirus. How the vaccination is in Angola? Lots of African countries struggle and cope with the vaccines and everything. How do you manage to
Yes.
do so?
Yes, so Angola is dealing with this pandemic situation relatively well, although Angola continued to struggle to have access to affordable vaccines at moderate prices. So while the world should get together to fight this pandemic, we observe, nevertheless, a selfish position from some rich countries that left behind the poor, particularly in Africa, in the Middle East, and in Latin America. In those regions, lesser than 50% of the population have normal access to the vaccines. Notwithstanding, due to the COVAX programs and the solidarity of some good friends of Angola, like Portugal, China, Serbia, Angola has been able to vaccinate more than 30% of its population. As of today, and according to the public statistics, Angola is recording around 63,000 cases of COVID-19 and is also recording more than 1,600 fatalities due to that, due to the COVID-19. So Angola is thankful to all countries that have been supportive, and this pandemic appears as an important tool for the world solidarity and the cooperation. Without the word solidarity, in my opinion, it will be more difficult to all of us to overtake this pandemic.
Angola is the superpower in sports in Africa, and how satisfied are you with the results during the Olympic Games in Tokyo? Usually, especially in collective sports, because it's in basketball, in volleyball, in all the sports that Yugoslavia and Serbia and Soviet Union were really good. Angola was good. And the Olympic Games and World Championships in basketball and volleyball and handball, etc. So how do you assess the Angolan sport achievements in Tokyo?
Yes, so the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, was realized under hard conditions. As you may know, due to the pandemic, we weren't able to see any any spectators in the stadiums. So it is a very hard situation, a very hard condition, even for the sportive to perform. So, however, like Serbia, Angola participated in a set of modalities, and overall, our participation was positive for the standards of the Angolan, let's say, sport in this moment. So, for example, our feminine handballs have recorded a good performance. They did not reach the finals, of course, but their participation was honorable. Angola needs to improve significantly the level of high-ranking sportive, and for that we also count, as it has been for long years, on the support of the Serbian sportive institutions and the Serbian academies and also the Serbian trainers to further develop our capacities to, in the near future, achieve good results in the international competition arena. So in overall, our participation could be, let's say, was positive, and I hope that in the future we will improve those results. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Diplomacy Talks. My name is Zikica Milosevic, and this was Alcino dos Prazeres, Izata, Francisco da Conceição.
So thank you so much for the interview. Thank you for your support. I also hope that we can meet each other very shortly in order to, to have a very good conversations on the issues pertaining to the cooperation between Serbia and Angola, and looking forward, to a more tight relations between our two countries and more pragmatic projects and programs between our two countries. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.